All human beings are born free, equal in dignity and rights. They are endowed with reason and conscience and should act towards one another in the spirit of brotherhood. These are some of the powerful words captured in the Article 1 of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, a document published or originally published by the United Nations General Assembly on the 10th of December 1948, 3 years after the end of the Second World War. Years have passed. We are in 2020. What is the state of human rights globally? How much do you know about your rights? Follow me closely as I would like to discuss with you issues concerning human rights and the concept of human rights here on JCL Tutorial. Hello once again, lovely students. You're welcome to JCL Tutorials, a platform where social studies is always made simple for you to enjoy and become a good performer out there, or the best. We are here again and we are looking at a topic that we started some time ago. If you actually got our last video or my last video, we did something on citizenship. We looked at the meaning, we saw the qualities of a good citizen, and then we also went on to look at ways or how to acquire citizenship generally, and then we narrowed it down to our country. This moment we are going to look at something different, so we'll move on to the part 2 where we talk about human rights. But as you know, we need to actually tell what we have to achieve by the end of this lesson. So let's quickly go into that and see what we have here as our objectives. So by the end of this lesson, the students should be able to, so this is what I'm expecting you to achieve. So get your pens and your notebooks ready and let's keep the ball rolling. Alright, so 1, you should be able to explain human rights using appropriate terms or the technical words or the keywords. That's what I mean by appropriate terms. Then we look at number 2, you should be able to identify the 5 categories or types of rights. So we have the types of rights or the classifications. You can also call them groups, or you can also call them so we have categories, we have types, we have classification. Any of them can be used. Then 3, you should be able to list at least 5 examples of rights or freedoms protected by the 1992 Constitution of Ghana. So we are looking at something general, but we narrow it down to our country, Ghana, and see. So you know that our 1992 Constitution actually has a chapter dedicated to this particular topic or aspect, which is the human rights. So when you take the chapter 5, you get everything over there. And why is that so important? You realize that it's the longest chapter. Yes, can tell that it's the longest chapter because it has 21 articles. So chapter 5 from article 12 to 33, you have everything that talks about our fundamental human rights. That tells you that it's very crucial and the Constitution cares, or the nation is actually at heart when it comes to the protection of the human rights of the people or the citizens. Okay, so let's, without much ado, let's move into some quick definitions. So we look at the definitions. We start with the main thing, which is human rights. What are human rights? So we'll be hearing this, rights, human rights. Okay, so let me give you a scenario. So in your various homes as students, you know, when you have a friend visiting, or you take a friend along with you who gets to the house with you, there are certain things you do your friend can't do in that house or home, because that is not the person's traditional home. So you determine when to turn on the television, or how to use the remote, or where your friend should sit, okay, or sit. Sorry, sit. So if you are looking at all these, you can tell that anyone who has the right actually has more advantages, or enjoy more advantages than another person. And it is possible that if you find yourself as a native of a place, there are certain things you enjoy that someone who is not a native might not enjoy. Okay, so this is just a concept. So there are keywords that I've explained down here, but let's look at what we have here as a definition. Human rights are the privileges or entitlements that are provided by nature and protected by law. So take note of the expressions: provided by nature. So naturally we are born to be free. We are born to be free. Okay? So if that is so, then something must back that freedom, or support that freedom, or protect that freedom. And that is what we have as what? Our constitution. So protected by law for an individual to enjoy. Now, a typical example is our life, one's life. So one's life is protected by the constitution for him or her to live safely. So no one is supposed to take your life. So someone who is born to live must not be deprived of that particular life. Okay? So if that is the case, and we understand this, what are these two keywords? Now take note, most students misspell this word, or they spell it wrongly. So because it sounds as privileges, it's supposed to be privilege. So if it is privilege, then it has to be spelled like this, not with A after the L. Okay, so take note, the L is just one, and then there is E and S, privileges. If I'm marking your script and you spell this word wrongly, I'll give you 0. Yes, I know you take that to be very harsh, but it is a technical word and it's a keyword, so you have to spell it right. Now, entitlement. So when you come here, what are privileges? They are advantages. Advantages that you have. Okay? You have the benefits, the merits, what you deserve. Then you come here, entitlement. The moment you have the advantages, you have the merit, it means that you deserve to enjoy something. So what you deserve to enjoy becomes an entitlement. Take a deep breath and follow it closely. So we are looking at these two, privileges and then entitlement, as two keywords. They are all nouns. Okay? So the position of fully deserving. So you are in position. Okay? And you deserve to enjoy pocket money from your dad. You understand? So it means that you have that advantage. Someone who is not a biological son of your dad, or a son or from your home, doesn't have that advantage. So the person doesn't have the position to fully deserve that money. So you get the idea now. So we fuse privileges and entitlement together. So when you have the entitlement, the advantages, then you can stand in position to enjoy a certain right. A certain right. So you could enjoy the right from your home, in your community, in your society. But as a nation, we are citizens of a particular country. So the state institution must be set up in a way that they will protect these rights for us. So normally people say freedoms, right? Freedoms, right? So the freedom is the natural liberty that you have. Okay, the natural liberty. So when liberty comes in, then you are beginning to ask yourself that, am I at liberty to enjoy this? Then it means that you have to now look at the constitution. For instance, you can walk naked in your room. That's the freedom you have. So freedom is broader compared to liberty. You can just walk naked, no one will question you. That's the freedom you have. But when you step out, you need to ask yourself, am I at liberty? Because that freedom is no more out of your house anymore. So when you step out of your house, you have to look at what the dictates of the law, what the laws say. Will I be arrested? Okay? So if someone dresses shabbily or indecently or provocatively, is the law saying something concerning that? You get it. That's why in some countries they are very strict on that. Okay. So you look at freedom, very broad. Everybody has it naturally. Okay. Then liberty comes in. So the constitution or the state structures will now tell you whether you are free to enjoy those rights or not. That is how the whole thing looks like. So sometimes we use the words interchangeably. They have slight differences. The only thing that makes them confused is that they are interconnected, or somebody will say intertwined. So they just link up and form the whole structure for us, which is human rights we are talking about. Okay, so if we get the meaning, now let's look at the types. We'll take them one by one, but these are the 5 major categories, okay, that we are going to focus on. We could go on and add cultural rights, but we'll focus on the 5 major categories or classifications, and then we see what they tell us or they have for us. So I did mention in my intro about the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. So they met and then they were able to draft and say that, okay, so globally every country should look at all these types or categories and make sure that their people or their citizens enjoy every kind of this or these rights. Okay, so we look at natural rights, the FHR. We understand what it stands for very soon or shortly. Then we have social rights, we have economic rights, then we have legal or civil rights, and then political rights. So let's take them one by one. We first start with the natural, the God-given privileges or God-given rights. These rights, no human has a hand in it. So we are born free. All human beings are born free. The Article 1 of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, they have it there. All human beings are born free. So the first right that you begin to enjoy is the right to life. And that is the most important right. So people normally mention it as the only example under this. And that is why we have the FHR, which stands for Fundamental Human Rights. Fundamental could mean basic or elementary. Okay, so it is the most important. Without it, without the basic, it's like a foundation. Without the life, you can't enjoy any of the rights. That's why we call it fundamental human right. The right to life, and it's the most important right. You can get this, note it down for your objective test. The commonest type of right, the basic right, most basic, and then the most important. So we look at that, and then if you want to try and add more examples, then we begin to add the things that human beings can do naturally as they are living, and no one can stop them from doing such things. So we look at the freedom of speech. You have to talk, you can express your mind, no one should stop you from doing that. You are free, you are born with it. Then you are born to also think. You can think. So right to thoughts. You can think. Think. No one stops you from doing that. Human beings are also born to move. No matter what it is, you can move freely. So we classify all these as fundamental human rights. So these are natural rights. These are natural rights. Okay? So we take a step further, then we look at social rights. A social right. A social right, these rights or these entitlements or privileges, you can put it that way, allow us to enjoy social services and amenities. So you have people in countries and they talk about what they want to enjoy, what they need, what to make their lives comfortable. And this is where they get them from. So they have the right to that, and we categorize that as social rights. So examples include right to education. You have to go to education of any kind. If you have the ability to further go to any level, you can reach that level. That is it. Freedom of association. You can join any group, but provided it's legal, it must be a legal group, well known. Probably if it's a registered one and they know that they do legal stuff or good things, things that are not against the law, then you are free to join. Freedom of worship. You can join any religious group, worship. Right to access electricity. So here then we start talking about the social amenities. Electricity, you know that already. You have in your various homes, government is supposed to provide those things for you. Then good and potable drinking water. Potable drinking water is also there, amenity. Then you should also seek proper healthcare delivery. It's your right. So if there is a policy that has to do with the National Health Insurance Scheme, it should be for all citizens. Okay, so the moment you have that, you can enjoy free health care to a certain level, and then other proper healthcare delivery services. These are social rights. These are social rights. Okay, then I'm sure you've also heard about the right to information. You need an information to get something done or to get something in place, so you can live your life correctly or in a safe way. You can demand for that information. So recently that one was passed by our parliament, so you can check out for that one. We move to the next category or classification that is known as the economic right. Economic right. So these are entitlements that allow us to engage in economic activities. Economic activities. So what are these? So right to work. You need to work, do legal work, proper work, and be paid. Okay, and be paid what you deserve. Okay, or what is due you. So then you have the right to employ. You can set up a company and employ people to work. You can also, if you don't have the capacity to establish your own company, you can also be employed by someone. So take note, this one is just one. Don't separate it. So right to employ and to be employed is just one example. So all these are examples. The one we've seen already are also examples. Then these become the types. So we have the types, and then we have other categories, and then we have the examples. So when you are being given a question, written or subjective test, read the question whether the question is demanding for the types or demanding for the examples before you attempt the question. Good. Right to trade, very essential, important. People engage in buying and selling. That's allowed. Then you have the right to own property in a legal way. In a legal way. So let's take note, because the Constitution is protecting all these rights, they have spelled out how you should go about enjoying them. Okay? The fact that you need to own a property does not mean you should go and kill someone or steal from someone and make that property or belonging yours, you might be arrested for that. Okay, the next type, legal or civic rights. So we look at this civil rights. These rights allow us to enjoy legal or judicial services. These ones are more related to the judicial, the law. So the law comes in here. They include right to sue and to be sued. So if someone wrongs you, just as you have the right to report the person or sue the person also has the right to sue you if you also wrong him or her. So you have to look at it. So this is also one example. Don't separate, because you get stranded in the exams and then you write I, right to sue. Then the next one, I, right to be sued. No, put them together. Right to sue and to be sued. So that is it. Alright. Then if there is a case in court, or you've been taken to prison, the police have arrested you, though in our laws, you are not supposed to be kept in the custody of the police for more than 48 hours. So if that is the case, then they have to prepare within the 48 hours, they have to arraign you before a court of competent jurisdiction, a court that has the power to sit on that particular case. Okay, so they have to take you there. They'll give you a fair hearing. They must also hear, not just, they just hear one part of the story and then they said, okay, you are guilty, and then they know. They have to also hear your part of the story. So for that matter, you have the right to a fair hearing. Then if that is the case, then you can also be given an opportunity to get a lawyer. Okay, it could be a state attorney. If you don't have the finances, you can be given a state attorney to also defend you in that trial. So these are some of the examples of legal rights. Okay, I think we are making progress, and you are making your notes as well. The next one, we look at political rights. Political rights. What are these? The privileges that allow us, or that one has to engage in all forms of political processes or activities. All forms of political processes or activities, provided you are not offending anyone or breaking the law. So what do we have to enjoy under this category? So right to vote and to be voted for, which is also one. To vote and to be voted for. So you can vote for someone that you think can represent you in parliament, or be a president, your head, your leader, everywhere. Vote. That's your power. Then you can also be in that same position for people to vote for you. You have the right. If only you qualify, or you fulfilled the necessary requirements. Why not? Now, there is the right to criticize. Okay, so right to form or join a political party is also there. Yes, this is also key. You can do it if you have the funds, you have the capacity. Why not? Then you should, as a citizen, you should be able to criticize the government. If things are going bad, things are not going right, you can say or voice out, okay, what you think is not correct with policies, or right with policies, decisions taken by government. But you have to do it constructively. So do it with a measure of intelligence. Okay? Do it with a measure of decorum, proper language, in a polite manner, in a way you can be furious about it and rant or talk harshly, but do it in a way that it will actually not offend someone, demean someone, or cause someone to take a legal action against you. Because most people say things that they actually don't have proof for. So if the government puts an information out there and you think you have something contrary to that, then you should have evidence to prove that what you're actually saying is the fact. Okay, so always do it with a certain measure. That is how to criticize the government constructively. So make sure you do it well without offending anyone, otherwise you could be sued for that. So citizens who actually lack certain level of information or amount of information can actually go in for that and seek that information. So that can be put under right to information. So when you check, that can be under legal or civil rights. So you can have that there, the right to information, that can be there. So all these are enjoyed, and you realize that each right depends on the other, okay, to make sure that we live safely and also as sound or peaceful people in our various communities or states. Okay, so these are the categories or the types of rights or the classifications that we can talk about for now in this particular lesson. Well, I believe you enjoyed this lesson, and I'll be coming your way with another session where I'll be focusing on abuse, that is human rights abuse. So today we've achieved something, and I trust that you've made a lot of notes out there. If you have questions, maybe when you try to read the Constitution, the chapter 5 from article 12 to 33, anything that you read concerning our fundamental human rights, and if you have questions, the comment box is there. Post your comments over there. I'll address them, and make sure you like the video as well. Share with other friends, and then make sure you also subscribe if this is the first time you are watching. This is what I have for you today on JCL Tutorials. I'll be coming your way again with another interesting lesson. But for now, I'll say bye.